2, 1, 0.
Dyer wave.
scientific method cannot justify the scientific method. Therefore, it itself is a dogmatic religious presupposition. All right. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Alien stream. I know. Last night was supposed to be the Alien stream. The night just got too goofy. I know. Let's start out with a shout out to Rad Dudes Vintage. Rad Dudes Vintage. With this cool 90s Christian t-shirt. Follow Rad Dudes Vintage on Instagram. He's got a lot of fun vintage things to buy there. If you want to. Echo. This fucking echoes, dude. I'm so sick of this tech crap. Dubbed out. Is this better? Yes, I see. Echo from 500 people. Thank you. So I'm trying to fix it. Oh, I know what it is. Is that better? Dub techno. It's not better. It's not boomer tech, dude. All this changed. Okay. How's that? Is that better? Oh, man. I'm not going to do the whole thing with the echo, dude. Don't worry. We'll get it fixed. If it's me streaming, it's different than when I have people on the stream. So I have to change it up every time. And ever since I did away with Hangouts, it's all different. Is it better? You missed the echo? Am I loud enough? Okay. So you have to switch up. You have to download all this crap and switch over all these switches just to be able to have a person on the stream. They made it like... It's like they don't want people doing this stuff. All right, so let's talk about aliens, Prometheus, Alien in a row. I sound human now. So, Alien, 1979. We haven't done the real proper treatment that we need to. And the last Alien Demon Overlord stream, I thought was really good. If you've not watched the other Alien Demon Overlord stream, go watch it. It came out good. So that's part one. This is part two. We're not here to talk about Brexit. We're here to talk about alien movies, and you asking me about Brexit. Bregs and bacon. That's what I'm talking about. Because of the carnivore diet. Brexit and bacon. The Alien universe is the same as the Titanic universe. And the same as Avatar universe. Because it's James Cameron, our vegan friend. Who's going to make us all vegans. So we have a bleak world. We see this ship just wafting through space, and the crew is of course caught in cryosleep. They wake up and they realize that they're on a crappy job, and this is a future dominated by one corporation, the Weyland-Yutani Corporation. So we had the prediction of a completely corporate, tyrannical, dystopian control system. Right, it's not enough to have veganism. You got to eat bugs. Interestingly, too, in Alien, they have a pretty crappy diet. They're just sitting around that table with, Tupperware, Fruit Loops, and, milk and shit. So the future doesn't bode well in the Alien universe. And we're going to see why that is, because actually more is at work here than just a typical dystopian science fiction story, in my view. Now, I cover this in my books, so get your copies of Esoteric Hollywood 1 and 2 if you want to see more of the treatment of my take on at least 2 chapters now on Alien. But part of the reason that we have to analyze this on a deeper level is, number one, the artistic conceptual influence, namely H.R. Giger, who is obviously pretty demonically influenced when it comes to his artwork. Now, I say this because in this painting, or drawing, excuse me, this sketch, this is Giger's sketch of Crowley. And so we know there's at least some degree of influence in Giger when it comes to the Crowley. And I would say that Giger's art, I mean, in one sense, it's kind of impressive because, you know, he's very good at sketching, but it's the most demonic art you have ever seen. I mean, it is like, whoa, dude, you know, off the charts. So, and of course, it's always like, you know, demon babies and alien women getting humped by giant alien dongs. But in whatever's going on in this scene with this one-tittied demon here, we got Alibaba over here with his thing. We got, I don't know who that is, Grim Reaper. Don't know what that is. And we got Crowley on the left with an ice cream cone. And it looks like an ice cream cone with a demon baby in it. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know what this is. Does anybody? Anyway, but that's how Giger rolled, right? All the little demon babies everywhere. I guess that's another little evil Crowley, perhaps. Kabbalah, there's your Kabbalistic eggs, Kabbalah eggs. And then your Crowley with the dunce cap and what looks like an alien demon ice cream cone. So that's one example of the concept art here. And we're speaking of this for a reason, because there's a little hidden demon there hiding in the back there, here with his little ear. Demons everywhere. It's one thing that I think makes the Giger art really interesting from a predictive programming aspect, and why he was so formative for the concept art on this series, is that it's all transhumanist. It's like the spirit of transhumanism in art. So here's his Baphomet, which you probably have seen, is pretty well known. Right? So there's your positive and your negative forces on the right and on the left of the Baphomet. You've got some, you know, naked bitches. You got some other naked things. And so you can see the horn implements here. This obviously is very similar to the horned implements that we find on the xenomorph, you see. So I don't think that's by accident. I think those are obvious influences. We're not going to spend all day looking at Giger, scary Giger art, but there's a couple more that I thought were interesting. I don't know what exactly is going on here, but you see it's the idea of ancient Egypt with the sun disk here, pyramid, and then we've got the ancient alien creators, like a Sukalos ancient aliens thing going on. But I think this is from the Alien series, because you see the chest, the exploding chest alien coming out. So there is then in Giger this obvious esoteric influence. Now, who would ever after this challenge Esoteric Hollywood? Right? I mean, this is one of the key theses of Esoteric Hollywood, is that there's an esoteric influence on movies. Here's Walpurgis Nacht, right? The holiday. And you've got lusty alien bitches with either lungs or xenomorphs for her eyes. I don't know what that is, but yeah, you get the idea. And there's a lot of kind of abortive-ish stuff going on in Giger, right? And I have a different take than most people on what's with the sort of abortive dead things going on. I think that it's an interpretation of the universe in a Gnostic sense as an abortion. I think that's what Giger means, right? Here's some kind of alien high council, which looks sort of like a mix between Egyptian influence, aliens. And I used to sketch a lot, by the way, before I was into theology and whatnot. I would sketch stuff, and it looked pretty Giger-esque. I think I even had a Giger poster one time when I was a teenager. I don't really know about any of the esoteric stuff, but so yeah, you've got your goat head here with this entity that's sapping the baby heads or something. I don't know. You get the idea. So I think Giger and the Alien series franchise is telling us that this universe is like the abrassion feature of a evil god or a product of the universe itself, right? Random chaos, Darwinian, just bang. It's in the Gnostic scheme, the universe itself is an accident. Greek mythology, it's an accident. Humans come here as like lightning hit the mud from a battle between Zeus and the Titans, and that creates humans, right? So the primordial soup gets zapped by lightning, right? This is supposedly where we come from. Yeah, there's a miscarriage that the creator God has. All these different Gnostic myths. It's always the same stuff. So that is what's going on here. And when they arrive on the planet, we see the first sign of the alien engineer, right? They find this planet. Oh, it looks like it's been inhabited, and they see they call him the jockey, right? The alien jockey, and he's sitting in some kind of controlling thing, right? But we don't know anything about who this is until, actually many decades later in the franchise. But at least in this first installment, we get this sort of glimpse of this big alien entity. And so we're also toying with the idea of panspermia and the alien creators. Now that comes to the fore much later on, by the time of Prometheus, I guess, right? The mythology of the series comes full circle by Prometheus, but we'll get to that in a minute. So on this planet, they of course discover that there are the pods, and the pods, they don't know what they are. John Hurt gets the pod on his face. Everybody knows the story, right? And then you've got the Doobie Brothers dude who pilots the ship, and you've got because he literally looks like a Doobie Brother. I don't remember the guy's name, but he's either a Doobie Brother or he's in Alabama, right? This butt cut dude. We like our beer flat as can be. We like our dogs with mustard and relish. We got a great pitcher. What's his name? I can't even spell it. Xenophomorph. Xenomorphs. We got a xenomorph. What's his name? I can't even spell it. Because he does look like the Alabama dude. Get it? Are my jokes too high-minded for y'all? My Alabama jokes too high-minded for y'all low-brow people? Or he looks like a Doobie Brother, right? I got to ride, keep on hiding, and the road goes on forever. That is the Doobie Brothers, isn't it? I got one more silver xenomorph, but I'm not going to let him catch me, no. Not going to let him catch the midnight xenomorph. So you got this weird dynamic, too, between the male leadership and Ripley, And we will see, as I highlighted in my analysis, the transformation of Ripley. This series is actually not about aliens. It's not about humanity. It's about the transformation of Ripley and the universe. That's what it's about. It's not about xenomorphs. It's not about alien engineers. It's not about aliens. Did you know that? It's about, and I've watched it many, many times, and now I've figured it out, decoded it. It's about man, evolution, gender, the universe, and Ripley. It's the psychological transformation of Ripley into evolving to the next stage beyond the xenomorph and the human to the next phase of evolution. So it's like Star Child. Think of Ripley like another version of Star Child. That's what this series is about. We'll see that especially by the time that we get to Alien Resurrection. The Jean-Pierre Jeunet installment becomes very clear there. So, it's about the Titanic. Michael McDonald. He's like a brown-headed Michael McDonald. I tried to do a Michael McDonald impersonation one time. I think I did okay. Should we spice it out with one impersonation? John Adams does a good Michael McDonald. Okay, forget. I don't love anymore. Okay, forget. Of course, it's going to play this dumb ad. Anyway, no, we're not going to do that. I'm sorry. I'm not going to do Michael McDonald. If I get lost in impersonation land, we won't finish the alien analysis. Thank you, everybody. This is Dyer, JAYSANALSIS. You're watching the breakdown of the Alien franchise. So, there's this dynamic between the male leadership. We start to see this as all the male characters die off really quickly. And then, of course, one of the strong male characters that we think is good, we learn, of course, isn't human, right? Bishop. He's filled with milk goo because he's AI. So he's not human. The AI is present, right? And the AI we are warned about the AI here in the Ridley Scott installment. So this is man as a Broshan, man as weaker on the evolutionary scale than the xenomorph. And initially in this first installment, Ripley she finds the aliens hideous. And there's going to be this interesting evolution to where the xenomorphs, the aliens, become more and more humane, which is interesting because they're the most viperous predator reptile species you could imagine. But there's a reason why they become more and more, quote, humane. And that's because the whole series is essentially a critique, as we said, of humans and humanity. So it is... Now, you could read it... I mean, I read it ultimately as completely anti-human. I think that's where it goes. If that's a little unfair, then it's just a critique of the evils of humanity. In other words, we think of the evils of the universe as out there in the beyond somewhere, and then, are we ignoring the evils that humanity possesses? And there is a good bit of justification to this analysis precisely because there is a powerful critique throughout the series of corporatism and scientism. So that is probably the strongest element of critique in this series, corporatism and scientism, until we get to the Jean-Pierre Jeunet installment, which it could be argued is a vindication of transhumanism, or is it still a critique? It's hard to say. It seems to possibly still be a critique, but we'll get to that in a moment. I'll let you guys decide. So, thank you for that super chat. We'll read the super chats here in a moment. By the way, yeah, Firefly, you'll notice that Joss Whedon wrote the Alien Resurrection, the Jean-Pierre Jeunet installment. And that's why you can see in the motley crew of scallywags in Alien Resurrection, you can see that he was already prepping for Firefly there, because it's very similar. So, Weyland-Yutani Corporation, panspermia. What we learn is that Ian Holm is working for the corporation. They've sent an AI because the AI will not have any moral qualms about letting the crew get impregnated by the xenomorph and then bringing back a sample. And that is Ian Holm's Bishop, the AI guy's function. So Ripley figures this out. She realizes that he is an evil AI, and this is what he's up to. And so she foils his plan. She stuffs the magazine down his throat. I'm sure we all remember that scene. And then the milky goo comes out. She rescues Jonesy. All the way. By the way, I joked in my book that this is the evolution of Ripley into Catwoman. Into a cat mom. She quite literally becomes a cat mom, a single cat mom, cat lady. But don't worry, ladies, if you're a feminist who's going to be a cat mom, because it's just a step on the stage to becoming a goddess, and that's what happens to Ripley. So the Weyland-Yutani Corporation is interested in simply having a powerful bioweapon. They think that these xenomorphs will function merely as bioweapons. Sigourney Tweaker, who is very thin and spindly as a spinster, figures all this out, and she foils the plot, right? We all know this, right? And she sails off with her cat daughter, Jonesy. Also, her butt is broken because it's not there in the underwear scene. So those are my notes on Alien. Certainly more could be said. There is Egyptian imagery that I highlighted in my book because the ship is called the Nostromo, and their symbol, the Nostromo's symbol, is the Egyptian sun disk. So this also calls to mind imagery from Giger. We also want to pay attention, as I said, to remember she's going to, here's my book that you could get. She's going to evolve from long-haired cat mom all the way over to bald, almost both genders. So her hair gets shorter and shorter and shorter down to bald, right? And by Alien 3, which is the prison planet, she is completely bald. She is very much a feminist. That's the point. And there's your milky goo, right? Get your signed copies of Esoteric Hollywood 2, by the way, because I cover Alien 2 and 3, or just 2. I cover Alien 1, 2, and 3 roughly in that chapter. And then, of course, in Esoteric Hollywood 1, you have the chapter on Prometheus. Anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. So, Aliens. Oh, man. Oh, no, dude. We could put that little girl in charge, man. Everybody liked the Bill Paxton last night. I'll save the Bill Paxton. Go watch last night's stream if you missed it for the impersonations. I don't want to take up this whole show with the impersonations. So, oh yeah, by the way, thank you. It is Sumerian. It's very Akkadian. It's very, and that comes to the fore in Prometheus and Alien Covenant too. Game over, man. Oh, why don't you put that little girl in charge, man? I think my Bill Paxton is spot on. Remember when he's Chet in Weird Science? That's how he laughs. That's it. So I talk about the search for life, all the BS that we get from NASA, Life on Mars. How many times have they told us life is on Mars? I've been hearing this story since I was in high school. It used to come on in the 90s. It would come on. We found water and life on Mars. They regurgitate this BS story. Anyway, and so this plays into the panspermia mythology. And of course, in Esoteric Hollywood 1, I covered panspermia in depth in multiple chapters because Hollywood has inculcated the alien mythos into our minds for so long. So the global corporate government intends to own all of the genetic DNA rights to this xenomorph species. And several years after the events of Alien 1, Ripley's floated around in space, and she's been recovered by the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, and they're being all nice and like, oh, tell us what happened, and by the way, we're going to send you back to the colony where we think there are more. And we learned that actually Weyland-Yutani has been terraforming. So it talks about geoengineering, by the way, a long time ago in Aliens in 1986, the James Cameron installment. And we find out that the whole human colony is more or less an experiment, a test tube for Weyland-Yutani once again. And it even says that this is their terraforming division. So we're being told, again, about plans of the future, right, relating to geoengineering. I don't know how far they are with terraform. I'm not saying that we're terraforming other planets. I don't believe that. But at least geoengineering is true, right? But and the Weyland-Yutani Corporation is consistently called the company. That's interesting. Who else is called the company consistently? Exactly. Yes, they represent military-industrial complex. They represent the company. Exactly. So they're going to make this bioweapon, and they want a perfect bioweapon, presumably to depopulate. I mean, I think that's kind of in the undergirding assumptions of the series. I don't know that it specifically ever says that Weyland-Yutani wants to depopulate, maybe. But we know, of course, eventually the alien engineers want to depopulate because that's why they created the xenomorph. The xenomorphs were weapons, if I recall, to depopulate Earth. And then their xenomorphs got out of hand and the bioweapon got released and it killed many of the alien engineers. So, I think that, let's see, is that the main points I wanted to talk about? Doobie Brothers in space, Tom Skerritt, Veronica Cartwright, Yaphet Kotto. Ripley ends up being the lone survivor. All the males end up in cuck postures. I do talk about that in the book. Let's see what else. Oh, yeah. The alien, or the AI that's on the ship is mother. And usually, I'm not sure, the matrix of the womb, the matrix. The AI is almost always referred to as female, feminine, mother. Sometimes it's given a masculine persona, but usually in most science fiction franchises, I don't know why, presumably because of the matrix of the womb, it's called a woman, Red Queen, this kind of stuff, right? Alien, or the Resident Evil series and so forth. It's a woman in Skynet too, at least in Terminator Genesis, right? It's Helena Bonham Carter. So, there's this next installment of the motif of Ripley as mother. Because not just is the AI mother, because the ships, they all kind of die away, but is Ripley the mother because she becomes a surrogate mother to Newt because she lost her daughter many, many years before. So we know that Ripley had a daughter since she has been frozen, floating in space for many decades. And in the future, the Weyland-Yutani's representative is Paul Reiser. Interesting. Ripley, Ripley, I expected better from you, Ripley. Really, Ripley, Ripley, really, I expected better from you, Ripley. How's my Paul Reiser? Is that pretty good? And Veronica Cartwright. I'm switching back and forth, right? So the mother motif's gone. Like Jonesy, she's the cat mom in part one because she said Jonesy. Then she meets Newt in part two. Newt says she doesn't have her mom. Her parents died. Ripley has this motherly affection towards her, right? And then she loses Newt, right? We know that at the end of two, even though she saves Newt, when three starts, Newt has been killed by another face hugger that was in the escape pod. Mostly. So the mother theme, by the way, we're just going to touch on this real quick here. As it progresses, what's interesting about that is that she then loses the desire or need for offspring. She doesn't care about offspring. And then, because in 3, it's a bunch of celibates in the prison planet, right? They have a religious cult on the prison planet, run by the black dude with the glasses. And then by Alien Resurrection, she takes on this motherly persona for Winona Ryder, which is real weird and creepy, kind of the way she acts. And she also acts motherly to the xenomorphs and to the xenomorph Ripley hybrid that's created at the end, right? If you remember that big retard looking thing, big retarded xenomorph at the end. But what happens is that she essentially evolves to really only have a motherly affection for the AI. And that's relevant because I think the point of Prometheus and Alien Covenant was similar to that the only redeeming characteristics are presumably the Rooney Mara, right? Her woman character and David, right? At the end of Prometheus, it's David that helps her. You have sympathy for David. You don't have sympathy for any of the rest of the human crew. And then I forget how Alien Covenant ends. I think there's two David. There's a good David and like an evil David, right? Anyway, so we're left with Ripley and AI consistently, right? That's the AI saves the strong female woman. I can't do a Ripley impersonation. I got too much of a thick booty to do a flat booty Ripley impersonation. I'm joking. Evil David is on the ship. Yeah, that's right. That's how Covenant ends with Evil David. I did do an Alien Covenant video, 2 years ago when it came out, but I've already forgotten how it ended. So, yeah, we're supposed to think Evil David made it onto the ship. Exactly. So presumably he's also going to depopulate, right? Because the ship in Alien Covenant, that's right. It's like Noah's Ark. It's like an ark where they're gonna send, this remnant of humanity to repopulate. And they realize, oh, oops, it's consistently the Weyland. Don't ever trust the Weyland-Yutani Corporation. If they send you on a mission, know that you are the test tube dum-dum for the Weyland every time. Anything that the Weyland-Yutani Corporation does. And as we said last night on Boiler Room, I couldn't believe it. I had to listen to the section of Alien Resurrection 3 times because I didn't believe it. But it actually says that, so 400 or 500 years in the future after Alien 3, when they clone Ripley, the Jean-Pierre Jeunet installment, it actually says that Walmart has bought out the Weyland-Yutani Corporation. And so Walmart owns United States Military Services or United Military Services. That's it, USM, UMS or whatever it is. United Services Military, that's it. Which sounds like JAYSANALSIS, right? We're all going to be living in a Walmart Target one day. Battling xenomorphs in the French fry aisle. Xenomorphs with both genitalia fighting us humans in the French fry aisle of Walmart. That's the future. Alien canned meat, like Myers canned meat. Steve Brule. Sweet cherry. Ha. That's my Steve Brule. Ha ha. Crashinos. So, back to Aliens. I also wanted to touch on the fact that it looks like, right, so this is the period, too, when we think about James Cameron, where he moved from, if you didn't see the Hollywood Decoded episode, go watch our Hollywood Decoded episode, because Jay Weidner had a really good analysis and breakdown of James Cameron. And we did do Terminator. We did the whole Terminator series for Hollywood Decoded in one of those episodes. It's really good. And he made a good point, though. How did James Cameron go from directing the neo-noir Terminator installment to these huge, gigantic Pentagon blockbusters, right? Terminator 2, Aliens, Abyss. Who knows? It's hard to say, but he did. And could that suggest that the Pentagon was consulting on these films? I would say so. I mean, what happens in Aliens? You get suddenly we have this Marine Corps crew. The Marines are there, and they're there to kick butt. Right? And there's some great lines from Bill Paxton on being a 100% grade A badass. You do not want to fuck with me, man. 100% grade A badass. You have our strong lesbian Latino, right? Our typical diverse military special ops crew. This has to be Pentagon saying, let's, put in the military crew here. It has to be. It has to be. I don't even have to look it up. I can just know. I don't even have to look. I just know. Somebody can go look and you'll find out that I'm right. I've done this long enough. I just know. It's like osmosis. I know instinctively now. So then, anything else stand out in? Remember this little scene with the little boy in Aliens? This is straight up Kubrick too, by the way. I didn't notice this until the last few times I watched it. The little boy riding his little, what do you call those? I don't even know what those things are called. Tricycles? This little plastic tricycle around the terraform station. That's straight out of Kubrick. They even shoot it like Kubrick does. So I guess that was James Cameron's homage to Kubrick. And then I argued in my book that Bill Nye is perhaps a xenomorph, as you can see there. Bill Nye has the facial physiognomy and structure of a xenomorph, pretty clearly. And then we end that movie, right, with Ripley's holding Newt like a womb, like mother with a child, right? And then it fades away just like Star Child. It looks just like the Star Child scene at the end of Kubrick. So James Cameron's, constantly harkening back to Kubrick here, obviously. Now in Alien 3, I don't have a whole lot to say about Alien 3. I don't think it's terrible. David Fincher is a pretty good director, and it's not terrible. It's flawed, but it's not terrible. There's not a whole lot to discuss here except the weird sexual tension between Bald Ripley and the cult, the prison cult. So they've come up with this celibate religion in the prison, and they think that mankind's problems are women. So it's like the MGTOW incel cult prison planet. It's very bizarre. But I think the point of it is to show once again, this issue of gender stuff, which wasn't so big of a deal in part 2. It was there, but not as big of a deal. Her hair did get shorter. Aliens, though, is a great film. I mean, we have to give James Cameron credit because it's just an intense blockbuster, action movie. It still is good. It still holds up. Alien 1 is a great movie. Probably a perfect movie. Aliens is a little goofy. I don't know if I'd call it perfect, but it's good. Alien as a film, probably a perfect movie. I can't think of what would make it not a perfect movie. Alien 3 out of 4 stars, I guess. Not a perfect movie, but not terrible. And then, but not a whole lot of like esoterics, just that weird cult, which is just about more of the gender stuff. And I guess we're supposed to think that all men are rapey or something like this, right? Well, once again, you can't keep Ripley down. Everybody's dead but Ripley. And in fact, in this installment, Ripley's dead. Because we know that she's getting more and more and more like the xenomorphs. So it's this survival of the fit. It's almost like Ripley is the transition fossil between stages of evolution, and the intense pressure of the environment that's being exerted upon Ripley is forcing her to undergo a jump, right? A punctuated equilibrium in the evolutionary development of the species in this universe, in the alien universe, right? So Ripley realizes that she does have a xenomorph in her tummy, right? It's not just bubble gut. She's got a xenomorph in her tummy. And so at the end, we think she's going to get away. And then in comes Lance Henriksen, who we discover, he was the prototype for the other alien, the other Bishop. I always get the aliens mixed up. Bishop and Bishop 2. What's the Lance Henriksen aliens or AI's name? Anyway, he saves, right? He, once again, just like, he saves. I remind you of Peter Venkman in Ghostbusters. Bill Murray. So Lance Henriksen saves her and Newt, right? And then we find out that the head of the Weyland-Yutani Corporation by this time is the actual human Lance Henriksen. Presumably, he could be another AI, but and he once again wants Ripley merged with the Thing, if I recall. And then once again the Weyland-Yutani Corporation can do their bioweapon tests, but now we're beginning to get the idea that it's not just about bioweapons. The real interest is genetic splicing and modification. So here is where we move into where we go with Alien Resurrection, where it starts to get really wacko. It gets out there, dude. Now, I went and saw Alien Resurrection when it came out in the theater. And at the time, I just thought it was kind of wacky. I kind of like it now. I didn't know how to place it at the time. I kind of like it. Looking back, I mean, it's like, it's so weird. It's kind of gross, creepy at times. I don't really like that part of it, but just as a movie, it's kind of entertaining. I think looking back, Alien Resurrection might be better than Alien 3. I mean, it's certainly not on par with Alien or Aliens. Those are much superior films. And it's not giving us any, well, maybe it kind of is giving us some crazy revelations in a way. I guess it kind of is. So let's get to Alien Resurrection now. They bring in the weird French filmmaker Jean-Pierre Jeunet, as we said, who, if you don't know, everyone should watch this movie, is the director of City of Lost Children. I remember when City of Lost Children came out, I was in high school, I watched it, and I was like, damn, dude, that is a weird movie. This is back when I was really getting into film. I was like, I want to do movies. I like movies. And this was certainly one of the ones that stuck out to me. Now, it's weird, it's creepy, but it's also very creative, right? It's almost like imagine, if you've not watched his films, Jean-Pierre Jeunet is like the French Terry Gilliam. Very similar in style of like wacky, goofy, fisheye lens scenes and crazy, surreal imagery. But we bring up City of Lost Children because there's some really crazy stuff going on in this movie. I don't know that I have it all figured out, but guess what? It's illuminate, confirm. I mean, quite literally illuminate, confirm. I have always remembered since I first watched the movie that it has the Ouroboros, right? Plato's Ouroboros, right? And the big reveal, you got it. Illuminate, confirm. Illuminate, confirm plays prominently in Jean-Pierre Jeunet's City of Lost Children. And just to quickly summarize the plot, if you don't recall, children are being kidnapped and their dreams are being stolen, and people are being cloned on a mysterious island by a mad scientist. And it also then branches off into very Gnostic, Luciferian stuff. That movie is totally illuminate, confirm. Okay, so he comes in to direct Alien Resurrection. I wouldn't call City of Lost Children disturbing or scary. It's not disturbing or scary. It's just very bizarre is the best way to put it. It's very surrealist, That's not what I wanted. Where's the picture I wanted? I was going to do a picture of the mad scientist, but I can't find the picture. Where I put it? Here, I'll just pull out another one here. Also has the same midget dude who's part of the motley crew of bandits in Alien Resurrection. So there's your mad scientist creeper guy there, who is modifying and controlling and stealing dreams. Oh, I remember what it is. I remember my notes now. But I've always meant to do City of Lost Children, but I always forget. He's the demiurge. The mad scientist is the demiurge who's trying to fix his creation. That's what it is. So anyway, back to Alien Resurrection. We'll do another stream sometime about like wacky mind control movies or something. I don't know. We'll title it something that ties in City of Lost Children with other similar types of movies. So Joss Whedon wrote it. We all know who Joss Whedon is. We won't go into that. Won't spend much time on that. We know who he is. Very well known. He does tend to put interesting things in his films, and he didn't always. Well, I guess on Buffy, early Buffy had some really creative, clever writing, good stories, conspiracy-related stuff, and then the series, as usual, modifies into social justice royale. You see, which is usually what happens. But Cabin in the Wood, that's a pretty good movie. Cabin in the Wood. So he can throw in some good things at times. Again, we're not talking about people's personal lives in the sense of like he's probably a crappy dude, but in terms of films, he can come up with some good stories at times. But then it looks like you get these deep state consultants, I suppose, right, that come along. Anyway, Ron Perlman also present in both films. I should add, too, that City of Lost Children is very visually amazing. It's a visually amazing film. Just for the visual imagery, set design, cinematography alone, it's a phenomenal movie. And I have to say, Alien Resurrection is pretty good too for its set design, visuals. I think it was shot. There's a lot of homage to Blade Runner, neo noir, that kind of stuff in Alien Resurrection. I would say it's a neo noir science fiction movie. So as we said, it's about 500 years in the future, something like that. I don't remember off the top of my head. But basically, so they're cloning Ripley's now, right? So they've gotten Ripley's DNA. It's no longer Weyland-Yutani. It's been bought out by Walmart. That's hilarious. That alone is funny. That's like, what? So Walmart is cloning Ripley. And one of the clones, who is number 8, lives and survives the process and becomes a problem and starts rebelling against, because they're exterminating the clones after a while to make sure that, you know, the experiment doesn't get out of hand. And we learned that they're actually crossing Ripley's DNA with the xenomorph and the xenomorph DNA with the Ripley clones, right? So it's created all these hybrid, gross looking things. And so Walmart decides that in order to keep things under wraps, they send an AI assassin, Winona Ryder, to kill Ripley. And she's amongst this crew of Firefly-style motley scallywags who are smugglers. And they're smuggling people for this space base where there is secret experimentation going on. So bodies are trafficked to do genetic hybrid experimentation out in the reaches of space in some space base. Now, what's interesting is that we're no longer under the corporation model of like Weyland-Yutani. It's developed into total scientific dictatorship. This is pretty crazy. Ripley is going to represent now the new humanity. She's in the kind of the final stage of humanity evolving, and it's almost that she's moving into woman goddess status. She's also got a kind of super soldier component to her. So this genetic modification, the xenomorph crossing, is intent upon creating the super soldier, right? And it's significant that Ripley is number 8 because 8 is the number of resurrection. Alien resurrection. That's why Ripley has 8 tattooed on her arm and why she's the 8th clone that survives. What happens when you turn an 8 on its side? Infinity. So she's the now immortal Ripley. And so the long process of universal global evolution has given rise to the new humanity, who is a woman, a cat mom. A cat mom is the future. Cat lady goddess.com. She, as Jamie said, she's the Theotokos of the aliens. Because she gives birth to like these, creatures, and presumably she's going to be giving birth to the future of the new humanity. Now here I'm going to blow your mind. Like I said on Boiler Room, and it's not just this movie, sometimes you will find in movie analysis very strange places where very strange things are stated many, many years ahead of time. I don't know why that is. I've demonstrated it in my 2 books I've written. I mean, we know that it has something to do with, Pentagon consultation, this kind of stuff. But sometimes it almost even seems just eerie, the level of odd predictions. And maybe this one's not so odd because this is 90s, right? So people did know about autism in the 90s. But as we mentioned last night on Boiler Room, one of the next upcoming movie streams, by the way, will be about demon exorcism movies. So we'll do The Exorcist 1, 2, and 3, and some other weird Jesuit Catholic type movies. Remember Heath Ledger in The Order? Actually has the Black Pope in it. We'll do an analysis of Exorcist demon movies, and that will include Exorcist 2 in the early 70s, where I'm not joking, they're doing MK Ultra experiments on kids and they talk about experimenting on and studying kids with autism in the early 70s. Now, again, I know that it existed, but it was super, super rare. Very strange that was in Exorcist 2. There is a CIA connection, too, between Friedkin, Blatty, and The Exorcist, by the way, which we'll get into when we do the Exorcist stream. That's well documented. And here in Alien Resurrection, there's a scene where when they're talking, the scientists are talking about the Ripley that they have engineered. And they say that they have engineered her perfectly to have emotional autism. Isn't that crazy? So there's this ridiculous scene where she plays basketball with Ron Perlman. And she's like running around dunking the basketball. It's completely ridiculous. But she's engineered to have emotional autism to where she doesn't have feelings. I was like, what? That's crazy. All the way back in this 1997 movie. Anyway. And by the way, I can't stand the pixie cut, but I have to say, Winona Ryder does pull off the pixie cut. I'll give her that. What do you think? I don't like the pixie cut. I'm just saying that. I think if you still have a feminine face, you can pull it off. You know what I mean? Because you still look like a female. But anyway. Now, so it's like we're being told. And by the way, there was another movie we were watching where autism came up. I don't remember what it was, but it was some old movie, and it was like, how are they talking about autism back in these old movies? As being some kind of thing to, study or whatever. It makes one wonder if it wasn't intentionally given to the populace. I think it was. So the alien queen DNA, as we said, is mixed. They're trying to create the next stage of evolution. And this movie really highlights this theme that we've seen in the Globalism book series, which is that Bertrand Russell, H.G. Wells, Jonas Salk, all those characters talk very clearly about commandeering evolution, steering evolution as the scientific priest class to move it into the direction where they think they can steer it for the transhumanist purposes. Autism is evolution in this movie. She is part alien. So here we're getting into the mythology of like Genesis 6 level stuff with, in order to be made immortal, we have to figure out how to import alien. I don't believe in aliens, but you know what I'm saying? Like the idea of human entity hybrid type stuff, Genesis 6 type stuff. Again, I'm not saying that that's actually what's happening nowadays, but I'm saying the mythology of the Alien series is definitely hearkening to that, because in Prometheus, it's chariots of the gods, it's panspermia, it's Eric Von Daniken, it's Tsoukalos, ancient alien stuff is where they go with Prometheus. So let's see. So they're using humans that they've captured as cocoons for the xenomorphs for the experiments. The secret experiments are underground. Walmart is doing the secret experiments on the down low. There's a funny scene where they still watch the shopping channel. That's kind of funny. So even though it's a total scientific dictatorship, everybody still watches the shopping channel. I mean, that's just comic relief, but it's still kind of ironic. The ship is actually here, the test tube that's going to come back to Earth. So here the idea was the ship would become the test tube, the xenomorphs kill everybody, and it's going to come back to Earth. So there's a recurring theme of bring back this test tube that's going to kill everybody back to Earth. So maybe it is a depopulation narrative on the part of the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, now Walmart, wanting to kill everybody. Interestingly, in this one, the AI is called Father, and there's a weird religious-ish scene where Winona Ryder, who we figure out is AI, overrides father and replaces father with her own feminine consciousness as mother. And this is right after Ripley has more or less adopted her as her now surrogate daughter and told her that her belief in Christianity is programmed into her, right? And there's this Pinocchio element with Winona Ryder that she wants to be seen as a person, right? All the way back to like Bishop did and Lance Henriksen did, right? He wanted to be called a person. And he was talking about android rights. And so nobody's religious in the future. This is very curious too. In Alien 4, except for Winona Ryder, the AI. She's the only one that's religious, so she trusts, and she's a Christian because they have this like metal chapel where she's worshiping, you know, this metal cross or whatever. And then Ripley's like, comes in, you know, full on fedora. She's like, "You've been lied to. That's like a program or whatever." And then, you know, she's like, "Oh yeah, I don't believe anymore." Like that's all it took was just somebody saying, "You're going on a program." Whoa, mind blown. I'm an atheist now. And then she overrides the father program on the ship, and she becomes the new mother AI to override the ship's programming to come back to Earth, right? Because it's now the big test tube full of the xenomorphs that's going to, I guess, depopulate Earth, I guess is what's going on here. That would make sense because the depopulation narrative is carried, that's what's going on in Prometheus and Alien Covenant. The creators, the alien engineers, they want to depopulate the humans. They hate the humans, just like the xenomorphs do. And the xenomorphs want to kill the humans. And the Weyland-Yutani Corporation wants to kill the humans. And then I think, I was going to say by the time of Alien Resurrection, even Ripley wants to kill humans. I don't think she really does. She kind of doesn't care. Because, of course, if you've seen the director's cut, Alien Resurrection actually ends with this nuke going off and just, I mean, it doesn't destroy all humans, but it destroys, I don't know, San Francisco or somewhere. It's usually San Francisco. I don't know where it is, some city. And then Ripley and Winona Ryder are sitting there, and she's like, "What do we do now?" And she's like, "I don't know. I guess we get out of here." You know, something stupid like that. But point being is that resurrection means alien resurrection. Right. It's Christianity is not true. The real resurrection is through tech. And so in a way, Winona Ryder is saved, but she's saved because she's AI. And she's the new surrogate daughter for Ripley, who's the new mother who's now evolved into super soldier. It's just, this is crazy. Okay. Fourth Kind, real quick. We'll get, oh wait, I forgot about the other alien movies. Maybe I should have to split this into a part 2. I think so, because actually Tristan and I are going to be doing our stream right after this. So we'll do this as a half and half because that would be more fair to the JAYSANALSIS subscribers. So 2 weird movies after this, and then we'll do Prometheus in depth for subscribers. We'll do Alien Covenant in depth, which I haven't covered in depth except for a goofy video. We'll do Fourth Kind with Mila, and then we'll do the weird movie God Told Me To, which is a 70s B movie I'd never heard of until maybe like a month or 2 ago. And this movie is crazy. This movie's got some crazy. I mean, it's a B movie, but it's got some crazy stuff in it. It's not Mandy, but it's very similar to Mandy, right? Nick Cage, Panos Cosmatos, Mandy. So yeah, So we haven't done a subscribers talk. I did, by the way, for subscribers, if you missed it, finally upload the part 2 to the Aquinas talk. So that's available if you haven't logged in at JAYSANALSIS. Also, subscribe to JAYSANALSIS for the content for members at the purchase membership section. And you can also get signed copies of Esoteric Hollywood 1 and 2. Also, Esoteric Hollywood 1 and 2 do include extensive analyses of the alien stuff, as we've already talked about. Other alien movies too, Signs, H.G. Wells stuff. So we'll do Fourth Kind, we'll do God Told Me To, Prometheus and Alien Covenant for subscribers in the next couple days. Because actually, you know, the subscribers' content has not always been globalism books. We've done multiple in-depth movie analyses. In fact, I did a whole mini documentary on Blade Runner for subscribers. I did a whole mini documentary on other film stuff that only subscribers have seen too. So you can do that. I'm going to read super chats. Don't worry. They haven't gone anywhere. Your super chats run out on the screen, but I still see them. So in a bit, next up, I have seen Lost Souls. That is an interesting Antichrist film. We're going to do a whole series on Antichrist. All the silly Hollywood Antichrist movies. We'll do Damien. We'll do Lost Souls, End of Days with Arnold, which is hilarious because it's like Arnold versus the devil with a bazooka. Like Arnold's fighting Satan with a bazooka. It's completely stupid. We might do that horrible Gabriel Byrne Stigmata movie. That would be funny. And some of the other Antichrist movies. There's a bunch of bad Antichrist, stupid Hollywood movies. So we might do some of those. That would be a good topic. And nobody ever covers Lost Souls. It's not that good of a movie. I mean, it's interesting. Not that great, but Winona's in it. And then well, I won't spoil it if you haven't seen it. But yeah, we should do Lost Souls too. So there'll be a whole other stream. So this is why it's great to do the streams on the basis of themes, right? Because usually you can pick a weird theme and find 4 or 5 movies related to that theme. But so right after this, not right now, but maybe in an hour, come back in an hour, and Tristan and I will be analyzing 2 movies. We chose 2 dystopian movies just to keep it light and easy. We're going to do THX 1138, which JAYSANALSIS amazingly has not done, even though it's been requested probably 500 times in the last 10 years of JAYSANALSIS. We'll do THX 1138, and then we'll do Demolition Man. Yes, Demolition Man. A lot that you missed in Demolition Man. Legion is pretty Gnostic. You could do it. We could also do Devil's Advocate too. Don't forget Keanu as Antichrist. Whoa, right? Did I do a Dune? Yes, I have a 17-minute mini documentary Dune analysis. Go watch my Dune video. I'm very proud of my Dune video. Very proud of my Mulholland Drive mini documentary. Don't forget the mini docs, right? I mean, I would spend like 2-3 days making those, right? And they did okay, 16, 20,000 views, somewhere in there. It would be nice if they were longer, but more views, but whatever. You spend 3 days on a thing and you only get 10,000 views. So what's the point of spending 3 days making, a Dune analysis when I can do a live stream in 2 hours? I'm done with multiple movies and it gets just as many views, right? What's the point? What's the point of spending 3 days on a video and the live streams get just as many or more views? Anyway. So thank you guys. I'll read these couple super chats we got here. Thank you NRG4TDSFX for joining, new member. Welcome. You'll find if you join on YouTube, of course, in the community tab is where the members content is posted. I do one every day or two. I post some of the backlogged content. So there's so much of the old subscriber content that I have to do it day by day. There's no way to, when you set up the YouTube memberships, to do it to where somebody has access to all of the subscriber content, because it was years of doing video subscriber content and audio subscriber content. So no other way to do it. Bays Chungus, $5. Great stream, Jay. Any plans to do any more takes on Orthodox Empyrean, a holistic view of state, and how it applies to today? Sure, yeah, maybe down the road. I mean, we did that one long one, so that's just kind of intended to be a rough kind of outline of church-state relations. But yeah, maybe down the road we can definitely do some deeper, more intense content. Thank all you guys in the chat, all you nerds. Yep, Omen, Poltergeist. Actually, I did do a Poltergeist. I did a Poltergeist video 3 or 4 years ago, and it only got like 5,000 views. I don't know, but I didn't have as many. I had like 3,000 subscribers 5 years ago, or 3 years ago. I had about 3,000 subscribers, 2,000 somewhere in there. So in 3 years we've gone from 3,000 or 4,000 to 42,000. But there is also in Esoteric Hollywood 2 an analysis of Poltergeist, analysis of all these movies, and more. So get signed copies of the books at the shop at JAYSANALSIS if you don't have those. And I will be back here in an hour with Tristan, Primal Edge Health, Tristan Haggard, and we will do Demolition Man. It has way more than you thought. And THX1138. Thank you guys.